The man on the sidewalk. The sun was beginning to set behind the buildings of downtown Chicago, casting long orange shadows across the cracked sidewalk. Traffic was thick, car horns loud, people busy. No one noticed the old man sitting alone near the corner of 7th and Rosewood, slumped forward, shaking, holding on to a torn photograph like it was his last memory. 14-year-old Liam Parker had just left the small corner grocery store where he worked part-time after school. He was tired, had homework waiting at home, and dinner probably wouldn't be more than a microwaved burrito again. But as he passed the man, something made him stop. The man looked lost. Not just physically, but emotionally, like his mind wasn't sure where the world had gone. His grey hair was messy, his coat was unzipped despite the cold, and his lips were mumbling something Liam couldn't understand. Liam crouched down. "Sir, are you okay?" he asked gently. The man blinked, his pale blue eyes darting around. "Have you seen her?" he whispered. "She had flowers, yellow, always yellow." Liam looked at the photo in the man's hand. It was old and wrinkled. A woman in a yellow dress stood smiling by a sunflower field. Behind her was a younger version of the man, laughing. "Is she your wife?" Liam asked. The man nodded slowly, then gripped his chest. His breathing became shallow, erratic. Hey, hold on," Liam said, pulling out his phone to call for help. "I'm calling an ambulance, okay?" Before he could press the button, the man collapsed against him. People started noticing now. A woman screamed. A man with a coffee spilled it as he rushed forward. "I think he's having a heart attack," someone yelled. But Liam's phone buzzed. Not a call, a message from an unknown number. "You didn't know him, but now you must. The clock is ticking." Liam stared at the screen, confused and chilled. When he looked up, a sleek black Bentley was parked across the street, tinted windows, engine still running. No driver in sight. Then, as if on cue, the back window slowly rolled down just a few inches. Liam's heart jumped. Inside, someone in a suit, face mostly in shadow, gave him a nod. Not a wave, not a smile. A nod, like they knew him. The ambulance pulled up seconds later. Paramedics took over, lifting the man onto a stretcher. One of them glanced at Liam. "You with him, kid?" Liam hesitated. "No, I just found him like that." The man was wheeled away, but the Bentley, it was still there, watching. Later that evening, after the police had taken his statement and gone, Liam walked home, still shaken. His neighborhood wasn't the best. Run-down buildings, flickering streetlights, and the smell of old garbage. Clinging to the air, but it was home. His mom was working a night shift at the diner. She usually didn't get home until 1 a.m. His little sister, Emma, only 7, was asleep on the couch, clutching her stuffed unicorn. He microwaved a frozen burrito, sat down with his school book, and tried to ignore the weird feeling in his chest. The photo, the message, the Bentley, and then another buzz, same number. "He remembers more than you think. Check your front porch." Liam froze. He rushed to the front door and flung it open. Sitting on the porch was a small leather notebook. With a rubber band around it, he looked around. No one, not a soul. He brought it inside and opened it. The handwriting was shaky but clear. Inside were scattered notes about sunflowers, about a woman named Margaret and a boy named Teddy. Then another page. "They took her. Said I couldn't. Remember enough to be a threat, but I remember the codes, the safe, the car. Teddy is still alive. I must find him." What was this? Who were they? Who was Teddy? Was the man hallucinating? Or was there something more? Liam flipped through, faster, his pulse racing. At the very back of the notebook, folded between pages, was a key. A car key, sleek and modern, etched into the plastic handle. Bentley Motors. He dropped it on the table like it was on fire. Was that Bentley across the street earlier his? Liam barely slept that night. The notebook sat like a ghost on his desk. By morning, he had decided it was probably just the man's old memories. Alzheimer's did that, right? Made people confuse the past with the present. But when he stepped outside for school, his breath caught. The Bentley was parked in front of his building. No one was inside. No one on the street. He looked around, then walked slowly to it. The key. From the notebook burned in his pocket, he looked down the street again. No one. He took out the key. Click. The doors unlocked. The car let out a soft beep. The door creaked open. Inside was silent. The leather seats smelled like money. The screen on the dashboard flickered to life. Welcome, Teddy. Liam's mouth went dry. Teddy. No one had called him that since he was 4. That was his real name. Only his father used to call him that before he vanished. Liam had no memory of the man, just pictures. A man in army uniform, then nothing. His mum always said he went away, and when Liam asked more, she'd just cry and walk off. So why did this car know his name? The screen blinked again. A message. Drive to 1340 Holleridge Lane. You have 2 hours, or she dies. Liam jumped out of the car. What was this? Some prank? A sick joke? But the memory of the man collapsing, the notebook, the photo, it all clicked together like puzzle pieces that didn't quite fit, but wanted to. And now someone's. Life was in danger. Whose? Margaret's? His mum's? He ran back inside and opened the notebook again. In the margins, there were scribbled words. If anyone finds this, protect Teddy. They know he's alive. Don't trust the man with the scar. Who had a scar? What was Holleridge Lane? And who was trying to kill someone? Liam sat on the edge of the couch, shaking. His sister was still asleep. He should wake her, call the police, tell someone. But who would believe a 14-year-old about secret messages? Alzheimer's men with code words and luxury cars showing up like ghosts. He looked back out the window. The Bentley waited, like it knew he had no choice. With trembling hands, he grabbed the notebook, his phone, and the car key. He scribbled a note for his mom and stuck it on the fridge. Took Emma to library. Back soon. Love, Liam. A lie, but safer than the truth. He kissed his sister's forehead, locked the door, and stepped into the Bentley. The engine roared to life. The dashboard showed a glowing line, GPS to 1340 Holleridge Lane. As he turned the corner, he didn't notice the black motorcycle following half a block behind. Inside the helmet, the rider smiled coldly. Teddy just took the bait. The man with the scar. The Bentley glided through the quiet streets like it belonged to another world. Liam gripped the steering wheel with sweaty hands, the seat almost too comfortable beneath him. His foot trembled on the gas pedal. The screen on the dashboard kept flashing the same message. Drive to 1340 Holleridge Lane. You have 2 hours. Or she dies. She? Who was she? Liam's thoughts darted to his little sister, to his mom working the night shift at the diner. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and tried calling his mom. No signal. He checked again. No. Service. His heart hammered. What if something happened to them? He was about to pull over and turn back when the car's speakers crackled. Then a voice, low, male, cold, came through. Keep driving, Teddy. Don't even think of turning around. We're watching you. Liam slammed on the brakes. Behind him, the motorcycle that had been following stopped abruptly. He looked in the rearview mirror and caught a glimpse. A man with a black helmet, waiting. Just waiting. Liam's stomach turned to ice. He took a breath, pushed the pedal, and kept going. For to Holleridge Lane wasn't in any neighborhood he recognized. The GPS took him past old train tracks, down winding roads lined with dead trees, until the city gave way to forgotten woods. Eventually, the road narrowed and became gravel. And then he saw it. A tall iron gate with peeling paint. Behind it stood an abandoned manor. Grey brick, shattered windows, ivy crawling like fingers across the walls. The gate creaked open by itself. The Bentley pulled in as if under command. Liam parked under a half-dead tree. The moment he stepped out, The car locked itself. The wind howled. The silence was too loud. He stared up at the mansion, and then he saw him, a tall man standing on the cracked stone porch. Leather gloves, black coat, a long faded scar running from his ear to the corner of his mouth. The man smiled. But it wasn't friendly. "Welcome home, Teddy." Liam froze. I'm not Teddy," he said, voice shaking. "My name's Liam." The man's eyes flicked over him, amused. "Names are just dust over truth. You'll remember soon enough." He turned and pushed the door open. "Come, she's waiting." Liam's heart raced. "Who's she?" The man didn't answer. Inside, the house smelled of rotting wood and something older. Portraits lined the hallway, some slashed through, others burned. One showed a woman in a yellow dress, Margaret, the same woman from the photo. "Who is she?" "To you?" Liam asked. The man with the scar glanced at the portrait. "She was everything, until she turned." "Turned," Liam repeated. He didn't answer. Instead, he led Liam through a hallway and into a large room with high ceilings and velvet curtains. Dust floated like ghosts in the light. In the center of the room sat a silver briefcase on an old piano. "Open it," the man ordered. Liam hesitated. "Why me?" The man stepped closer. "Because it's coded to your DNA." Liam's mouth went dry. "What do you mean?" "Touch it. See for yourself." Liam slowly stepped forward, heart thudding in his ears. He reached out, and as soon as his fingers touched the handle, there was a soft click. The case opened. Inside were three things. A black and white photo of a baby in a hospital blanket, written in the corner, "Teddy, August 17, 2010. A folded, faded document labeled "Guardian Transfer Authorization," and a gun. Liam staggered back. "What is this?" The man stepped forward. "Proof that you're not who you think you are, that the life you've been living was never supposed to be yours." Liam shook his head. No, my mom. She raised me. She kept you hidden," the man growled. "She ran, changed names, burned everything, but the blood never lies." "I don't believe you," Liam snapped. The man leaned in, eyes ice cold. "Then explain why your fingerprints opened a safe built 20 years ago." Liam couldn't. The man reached into his coat and pulled out a phone, tapped a button. The screen lit up with live footage of Liam's mother, tied to a chair, duct tape over her mouth. She was crying. Liam gasped. "What did you do to her?" "She got too close, started remembering, but she's not the target." He tapped another screen. Emma, Liam's little sister, sleeping on the couch, a man in a ski mask standing over her. Liam collapsed to his knees. "Please, don't hurt her. Then you'll do what you were born to do." What is that?" The man handed him a folder. Inside were photos of 6 men, different ages, all in military gear, names blacked out. "One of them killed your real father," the man said coldly. "You're the only one who can finish what he started." Liam's voice cracked. "I don't want revenge. I just want my family." The man with the scar knelt beside him. "That's the problem, Teddy. You don't get to choose." Suddenly, a loud crash came from the back of the mansion. A door slammed. The man stood quickly, pulled a gun from his coat. "Stay here." He moved like a soldier, disappearing down the hallway. Liam waited 5 seconds before running in the opposite direction. He darted through shadowy corridors until he found a basement door, slightly ajar. He slipped inside and descended the creaky stairs. The air was damp and smelled of metal. The basement was dark except for a flickering light in the corner. Tied to a chair was Margaret, the woman from the photo, from the notebook, from the portrait. Her hair was white, tangled, but her eyes were sharp, alive. She turned her head slowly. "Teddy," she whispered. Liam's knees went weak. They say I am, but I don't remember." She looked at him, and something in her eyes changed. "You're him," she said. I held you the day you were born. Liam rushed forward and untied her. We have to go, now. But just as they turned to leave, bang! The door upstairs slammed open. Footsteps thundered down the hallway. Liam looked around desperately, found an old cellar door. He yanked it open, helped Margaret through, and they crawled into the woods behind the house. The Bentley was gone. They ran, branches whipped their faces. Margaret was slower, limping. Behind them, a flashlight beam cut through the trees. "Teddy, bring her back!" Liam pulled Margaret behind a fallen tree. The man passed within inches. Liam held his breath. Once it was safe, they crept down the hillside. Eventually, they reached an old road. Liam flagged down a pickup truck. The driver, a middle-aged man with kind eyes, let them in. "Where to, kid?" Liam didn't hesitate. "The police." An hour later, they were sitting in a police station. Margaret gave her statement. Said she had been kidnapped weeks ago. Said a man named Victor Kane had been hunting Liam, Teddy, since he was a toddler. But she didn't explain why. When the officer asked about Liam's mother, Liam told them everything. The officer nodded slowly. "We'll get officers to your home right away." Liam leaned forward. "Is my mom okay? And my sister?" The officer frowned, then whispered something to his partner. The partner left the room. Seconds passed, then minutes, and then the officer looked back at Liam, face pale. "We found your apartment. The door was open. The note you left was gone." Liam stood up. "And my sister?" The officer swallowed. There was blood on the couch, and no one inside. Liam's world shattered. The truth. Beneath the scar, Liam sat in the cold interrogation room, Margaret beside him. The harsh fluorescent light flickered, making shadows dance across the cracked walls. Outside, the city kept moving, unaware of the nightmare unraveling inside this small police station. He kept glancing at the door, waiting for news about his mom and Emma. Minutes stretched like hours. Then the officer returned, his expression grim. "Liam, we found your mother. She's alive but unconscious in a hospital on the east side. The attackers left no trace of your sister. We're expanding the search." Liam clenched his fists. "I have to find Emma." Margaret reached over and squeezed his hand. "We'll find her." Later, alone in the hallway, Liam stared at the photo in the folder, the baby labeled Teddy. His mind raced back to the man with the scar. Victor Kane. Who was this man? Why was he hunting Liam or Teddy? Margaret leaned in, her voice barely above a whisper. "There's something you need to know." Liam's heart pounded. Margaret's eyes filled with pain. "I'm your mother." Liam's breath caught. "How?" Margaret swallowed. "Not the woman who raised you, but your birth mother, the woman who gave you up to protect you." She reached into her coat and pulled out a faded diary, worn at the edges. "I kept this, hidden for years." Liam opened it. The pages were filled with scrawled notes, dates, names, threats. One entry caught his eye. "Victor Kane is dangerous. He killed my husband, your father, to seize control of the family business. He believes Teddy has the key to exposing him. I had to hide you." Liam's hands shook. "Who was my father?" Margaret's eyes darkened. "Michael Ravenscroft, a man who tried to bring justice to the corrupt. He disappeared after Victor's attack." Liam's world shifted. His whole life was a lie. Suddenly, the station's loudspeaker buzzed. "Officer Jenkins, code red, suspected Victor Kane sighted nearby." The officers exchanged worried looks. Margaret grabbed Liam's arm. "We don't have much time." Outside, the sky darkened. Liam and Margaret drove to the hospital. The driver, a quiet woman named Rose, explained what little she knew. "Victor Kane is a shadow in the city. No one sees him coming, and everyone who crosses him disappears." Liam's fingers clenched the steering wheel. "I'll find Emma, and I'll stop him." At the hospital, they found Liam's mother in a quiet room. Machines beeped steadily, but her breathing was shallow. Liam touched her hand, feeling a flicker of hope. "Mom, please wake up," he whispered. Margaret watched him with a mix of sorrow and strength. The next morning, the police received a tip. Emma had been seen in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Liam didn't hesitate. He and Margaret, along with a small police escort, headed to the location. The warehouse was a labyrinth of broken crates and rusted machinery. Inside, Liam heard a faint cry. "Emma!" He sprinted forward. There she was, tied to a chair, dirt smudged on her face, tears streaming down. "Liam!" she cried. Suddenly, footsteps echoed. Victor Kane appeared, his scar twisted into a cruel grin. "Welcome back, Teddy." Liam's blood boiled. "Let her go!" Victor laughed. "You still don't understand. Emma is the bait. You'll come to me when you follow." Liam's eyes darted around. He saw a bundle of wires near the door. Explosives. He took a deep breath. "If I step forward, she dies," Victor sneered. Margaret stepped in front of Liam. "Don't do this alone." Liam nodded, scanning for a way out. Suddenly, police radios crackled. Backup was close. Victor cursed and vanished into the shadows. Liam rushed to untie Emma. Her small arms wrapped around him tightly. "We're getting out," he promised. But as they moved toward the exit, a loud explosion rocked the warehouse. Flames erupted. Smoke filled the air. Liam coughed. Margaret pulled Emma close. "Stay calm," she said. They fought through the smoke, finding a side door. Outside, paramedics rushed to help, later safe in a police safe house. Liam sat with Margaret and Emma. The danger wasn't over. Victor Kane was still out there, and Liam knew one thing for sure. This war had just begun. The hidden enemy. The safe house felt like a fragile bubble in a storm. Liam sat at the window, his jaw tight, eyes scanning the street below. Emma slept soundly in the other room, finally safe after the nightmare at the warehouse. Margaret sat beside him, exhaustion lining her face, but her spirit unbroken. They both knew Victor Kane would strike again. The police had increased patrols, but Victor was elusive, a ghost in the city's shadows. Liam replayed every moment in the warehouse, the cruel smile, the whispered "Teddy," the explosives. Why call him Teddy? Was that his real name, his identity? Margaret finally spoke, breaking the heavy silence. "There's more, Liam. Your father left something behind. Something Victor Kane wants desperately." Liam looked up. "A key," Margaret said. "A ledger that proves Kane's crimes. Money, laundering, murder, everything." She handed him a small, worn envelope. Inside was a single flash drive. "This contains your father's evidence. It's why Kane's hunting you, to get it or destroy it." Liam's hands trembled. "If I give it to the police?" Margaret shook her head. "Kane has corrupt cops on his payroll. We can't trust anyone." Just then, a soft knock sounded. Liam's heart jumped. Margaret opened the door. A courier stood there, holding a small black box. No note, no name. Inside, the box, a single key, ornate and old. Attached was a message typed in bold letters. "Find the truth before it finds you." Liam's mind raced. The key, the ledger, Victor's obsession. He felt the walls closing in. If this was a game, the stakes were life or death. Suddenly, Margaret's phone buzzed. A secure message flashed. "Meet at the old Ravenscroft estate. Midnight. Alone." Margaret's face paled. "This is your father's home, Liam. Abandoned for years. The place Kane fears most." Liam knew he had to go, but he couldn't leave Emma or Margaret behind. "Take Emma to a safe location," he told Margaret. "I'll meet you there." Margaret nodded. That night, Liam crept into the estate's crumbling grounds. The moon cast eerie shadows over the overgrown gardens and broken windows. He pushed open the heavy front door. Inside, dust covered every surface, silence thick as a tomb. In the grand hall, Liam found a hidden panel in the wall. Behind it was a small, leather-bound journal, his father's. His fingers traced the words, written with urgency. "Victor Kane is more." Dangerous than anyone knows. He controls not just the city, but its darkest secrets. This ledger exposes everything. Protect it at all costs. Liam's eyes scanned the last entry. If anything happens to me, find the key to the safe in the basement. It holds the ledger and the truth that can bring Kane down. Determined, Liam descended the creaking stairs to the basement. He found an ancient safe, its lock rusted but intact. Using the ornate key from the courier, Liam turned the lock. Inside lay a thick ledger filled with handwritten notes, photographs, and documents exposing Victor Kane's crimes. His hands shook. This was the weapon to end Kane's reign. Suddenly, a noise upstairs. Liam froze. Footsteps, heavy, slow, too close. He hid in the shadows. A dark figure entered the basement. A man with a cold stare and a scarred face. Victor Kane. Liam's heart pounded. Kane smiled cruelly. "I knew you'd come, Teddy." Liam stepped forward, clutching the ledger. "You won't get away with this." Victor's eyes narrowed. "This city is mine, and you'll disappear, like your father." He lunged. A brutal fight broke out. Liam fought with everything he had. But Kane's strength was overwhelming. Just as Kane raised his fist to strike, a gunshot echoed. Victor staggered, clutching his shoulder. Margaret appeared, holding a smoking pistol. "We're done here," she said coldly. Victor snarled and fled. Into the darkness. Liam collapsed to the floor, breathing hard. Margaret helped him up. "We need to get this ledger to someone we can trust." The next day, they met Detective Hayes, a rare, honest cop. Hayes examined the ledger carefully. "This could take down Kane, but you'll need protection." Liam nodded. "This ends now." But as they left, a black luxury car rolled up beside them. The window slid down. Inside sat a man with a familiar face, calm, powerful. "Hello, Teddy," he said with a smirk. Liam's blood ran cold. The man's identity was a secret even Victor feared. Liam realized the true enemy was closer than he ever imagined. The mask falls. The man in the luxury car smiled, his eyes cold and calculating. "You've come a long way, Teddy, but the game isn't over yet." Liam's heart pounded. This was the man Margaret had warned about, a shadowy figure controlling everything behind the scenes. His name was Jonathan Cross, a powerful businessman with ties to Victor Kane and far deeper secrets. Margaret stepped forward, her voice steady. "Jonathan, this ends now. We have the ledger, the proof." Jonathan laughed softly, the sound like ice cracking. "Proof? You have no idea what you're holding. That ledger, it's a decoy." Liam's blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" he demanded. Jonathan's gaze hardened. "Your father wasn't the hero you think. He made deals with people far worse than Kane. That ledger was planted to lure you out." Liam shook his head, disbelief and rage mixing inside him. "No, you're lying." Jonathan's smile faded. "I'm telling you the truth. The real ledger is hidden, and if you want to find it, you'll need to follow my rules." Margaret's eyes flashed with anger. "We don't take orders from criminals." Jonathan raised a hand. "Call me what you will, but I control this city's fate, and I decide who lives and who dies." That night, Liam lay awake, the weight of Jonathan's words crushing him. Was everything he believed a lie? Had his father been involved in darkness? Was the ledger a trap? Emma's innocent face haunted him. He vowed, no matter the cost, he would uncover the real truth. The next morning, Margaret received an anonymous tip, a hidden vault beneath the city's old library. Inside the vault, supposedly, lay the real ledger. They hurried there, joined by Detective Hayes. The library was a fortress of silence, dust, and forgotten stories. In the basement, behind a false wall, they found a steel door. Hayes worked quickly, cracking the lock. Inside was a small room, walls lined with files, and a safe. Liam's fingers trembled as he opened the safe. Inside, a thick book, the real ledger. As Liam flipped through the pages, the truth spilled out. His father's handwriting detailed deals with ruthless men, corrupt officials, criminals, even Jonathan Cross. But there were also entries exposing Kane's crimes and a plan to bring down both villains. Suddenly, a noise. Footsteps. They weren't alone. Jonathan appeared, flanked by armed men. "You shouldn't have come here," he said coldly. A tense standoff followed. Liam stepped forward. "Why are you doing this?" Jonathan's eyes flashed with bitterness. "Because this city is rotten. I wanted control to fix it my way. Your father tried to stop me, so I stopped him." Margaret's gun was steady. "You're nothing but a tyrant." A gunshot rang out. Hayes dove to the ground, hit in the shoulder. Chaos erupted. Liam grabbed Emma, ducking behind crates. In the chaos, Margaret fired back, covering their escape. Jonathan sneered but didn't chase. Outside, Liam gasped for breath. "We have the ledger," he said. "Now what?" Margaret looked at him, fierce and tired. "We fight." Days passed in a blur. Liam, Margaret and Hayes worked to gather evidence and allies. They leaked parts of the ledger to trusted journalists, exposing Kane and Cross to the public. The city began to stir. Protests, demands for justice. But the danger grew. Victor Kane's men tracked Liam's every move. One night, a masked attacker broke into their safe house. Liam fought with everything he had. He managed to unmask the attacker. A woman with familiar eyes. It was Rose, their driver. "Why?" Liam demanded. Tears streamed down Rose's face. "I had no choice," she sobbed. "They threatened my family." Liam's heart broke. Betrayal cut deeper than any wound. He realized then, trust was fragile. Survival meant harder choices. The city was watching now. Liam was no longer just a boy helping an Alzheimer's man. He was a symbol, a beacon for those who dared to fight corruption, the reckoning and the truth. The city was changing. The once silent streets now echoed with voices, demanding justice. Liam stood in the middle of it all, no longer just a boy caught in a dangerous game, but a young man determined to finish what his father started. The betrayal by Rose still haunted him. How close had she come to destroying everything? Yet, deep down, he understood her fear. The lengths people go to when their loved ones are threatened, but there was no turning back. Margaret's words rang clear every time he doubted himself. Sometimes, losing everything is the only way to find who you really are. That evening, in a quiet room hidden behind layers of security, Liam, Margaret and Detective Hayes prepared for the final move. They had enough evidence to bring down Victor Kane, Jonathan Cross, and the corrupt network that held the city in chains. The plan was simple but dangerous. They would release the full ledger to a global news agency live, exposing Kane and Cross to the world. They had to be ready for retaliation. Liam took a deep breath. Emma's safety was the first promise he made, and he would keep it. The broadcast began. The ledger's pages scrolled across screens worldwide, detailing money laundering, murders, bribery, and betrayals. Names were named, faces exposed. At first, the city seemed stunned. Then anger erupted. Protests filled streets. Politicians were forced to respond, and arrests followed. Victor Kane was cornered. Cornered but ruthless. He sent his men after Liam. The final confrontation came one rainy night in an abandoned warehouse, the same place where it all began. Liam faced Kane, Margaret by his side. "You don't understand," Kane snarled. "I built this city. I controlled its heart." Liam stood firm. "No, you destroyed it." Suddenly Kane lunged. A fight broke out, desperate, raw. Margaret fought fiercely, keeping Kane's men at bay. Liam, fueled by years of fear, anger, and hope, fought for his future. In the struggle, Kane was finally subdued and arrested, but victory came with a cost. Detective Hayes, wounded but proud, looked at Liam. "You did what no one else could." With Cain and Cross behind bars, the city began healing. Liam and Emma moved to a quiet town. Margaret stayed as a guardian, their family. One afternoon, Liam found a letter from his father, hidden in the journal. It read, "Son, if you're reading this, I failed to protect you. But you have the strength to finish what I started. Trust yourself and never let fear decide your path. The truth will always set you free." Liam smiled, tears in his eyes. He had lost so much, family, trust, innocence, but found something greater. The boy who once helped an Alzheimer's man had become a symbol of hope, courage, and truth. The lesson was clear. Sometimes, losing everything is the only way to find who you truly are, and that truth, no matter how dark, holds the power to heal and transform. End of story.